What's up everyone, this is FP Sticks, and in today's video I'm going to be bringing you another episode in my series Legendary Battle Strategies. If you haven't seen any of the previous episodes, make sure to check those out to kind of see what's going on with these series. But essentially, I highlight a couple of battles that I feel like really demonstrate some high level gameplay, and I talk through those battles and tell you everything that's going on in my head, so together we can continue to improve our PvP skills. In today's video, it's actually going to feature 3 battles from a PvP draft format, so a show 6 pick 3 format. These battles were actually taken from one of my pairings in Arrow's Draft League, which if you don't know what Arrow's Draft League is, it's essentially a Pokemon Go draft league that features a lot of the top battlers and content creators from around the world, and we battle against each other, and then at the end there's a final tournament as well. But these battles are going to be showcasing some of those battles from that, and showcasing a lot of high level gameplay kind of focused on reading your opponent and making gameplay decisions based on what you think your opponent might do. So let's jump right into these battles and start talking through what's going on here. So once again, these battles are in a draft format, so you can actually see our teams up here on the screen here. My team is Vigoroth, Driftblim, Ferrothorn, Lantern, Sunny Castform, and Granbull. And from week to week, you can actually change your movesets based on who your opponents are that week and what moveset you want to run against their team. And so this week, I was actually running Snarl Granbull. Snarl Granbull really makes for an exciting safe swap because you're able to generate energy very quickly. My opponent is Jangles here, who is a very, very talented battler. Apologies for the sideways photo here, Jangles. That's just how it was on the team selection screen there, but he is running Galvantula, Obstagoon, Hypno, Pelipper, Probopass, and Jirachi. I'm not going to get too in-depth on like my thought process for like the line of 3 that I brought in with these games. I kind of want to focus more on the gameplay, but essentially in this first game here, I'm running Driftblim, Granbull, and Vigoroth. I essentially have 2 safe swaps here depending on what the lead is. Obviously, Galvantula is going to prove to be problematic for this line if I do run into a Galvantula, but Snarl Granbull on the safe swap, there's nothing that hard punishes a Snarl Granbull on Jangles' team. And then Vigoroth in the back is going to be a solid response to if he leads a Probopass. That's probably the worst case scenario, is if I run into a Probopass with the Driftblim on the lead here. So as always, we're going to get into these battles. I'm going to be pausing it a lot and talking about my thought process and my gameplay decisions here. So Driftblim into Probopass, worst case scenario. I'm just going to go straight into my Granbull. And now he's staying in here for a little bit because he's assessing what fast move I'm using. He notices that it's Snarl, and so most likely he's going to stay in here and chip me with the charge move. Now, if this is a magnet bomb, it's going to do a lot of damage, so I'm just going to safely shield this. My Granbull has a lot of energy. I'm not throwing a move on this Probopass quite yet. There's the swap. In comes Hypno, and this is where Snarl Granbull is very, very nice. I'm running Snarl and Crunch, so it is going to be hitting for super effective on this Hypno. I'm going to try to regain switch advantage here. That is my goal. Right here, if you have watched my fast move timing video, you'll know what I did right there. Even though I had the Crunch stored, I threw one more Snarl, because I know that my 3-turn of Snarl will still be inside his 4-turn move of Confusion, and I'm able to queue up my charge move without an entire Confusion sneaking through. So we can see that again. I'm going to throw this first Crunch. I already have another Crunch loaded, but I'm going to throw one more Snarl, then throw a Crunch. This is guaranteeing that he's only getting 1 free fast turn worth of energy. We'll see if I get a shield here. He does shield it up. And now at this point, I'm wondering if I'm going to be able to regain switch, and I think the confusion damage is going to be too much. So what I'm going to do here is store up a lot of energy, try to get this Hypno low, And then I see that my switch clock barely comes up. I transfer the confusion damage onto my drift blim. And because he's still stuck in the confusion animation here and his switch clock isn't up, because our switch clocks were out of sync because of how long it took him to switch out of the lead matchup, I'm able to hex down this Hypno. My Granbull has stored energy, and Granbull is going to win CMP against pretty much everything on his team other than the Galvantula. And I know that a close combat will one-shot the Probopass. Right here, he reveals his third Pokemon. He reveals that it is Obstagoon. So I know that saving that close combat is going to be really, really key for the end game here. But I'm also recognizing that my Vigoroth is going to have a lot of play against both of his Pokemon as well. I'm just going to go straight for Icy Wind here. But take a look at what Jangles starts to do here, and I pick up on what he's doing here. He has not thrown a charge move. He's farming, he's still farming. At this point, I know exactly what his thought process is. He wants to build to 100 energy, and then he wants to switch out to clear his debuff. So I'm not going to throw a move. I'm going to continuously farm as well, because I know the switch out is going to happen at any moment. There it is. Out comes the Probopass. I cannot switch out of this. I am still stuck. I'm just going to go straight for the Shadow Ball here. He's going to do a lot of chip damage. I doubt that he shields though. He knows that he can tank it. My switch clock is still not up, but I'm able to get to another Shadow Ball. This is pretty much going to be able to take out this Probopass if he no shields. I need to get shields down. He lets it go because he knows that he can survive. Really nice call. All I need to do is get shields down, and then my Granbull can one-shot the Obstagoon. That's all I need here. So I'm going to bring in my Vigoroth to get a jump start on energy. I just need to burn the last shield on the Obstagoon. And this Obstagoon will have to shield up one of my body slams because my counters are hitting for double super effective. Cross chop is really going to hurt. We know this Obstagoon has a lot of loaded energy. I'm able to get a counter in between the back-to-back charge moves there, which is very good for me. Another cross chop. You can't store 3 cross chops, so I knew that he wasn't at another one. He has to shield this body slam. And most likely what I'm going to do here is go straight for the combo play of close combat. I remember that my close combat move is on the right. Oh, I'm actually letting this go down. The reason that I'm letting this go down here is because I knew that my Granbull's health was very low. So if I accidentally transferred the counter damage onto my Granbull, I would have lost. So I know that Granbull wins CMP. So I safely let my Vigoroth go down. And here we're going to force the CMP. Luckily, the game does not lag and I'm able to get this move off. Even though I might have barely survived 1 counter's worth of damage, Granbull is very glassy, and so I didn't want to risk transferring that damage. I'm able to win that because I got shields down and was able to land the close combat on the Obstagoon despite leading into my worst case scenario of Probopass. So in this line, I'm going to lead Vigoroth. I'm going to still have the Snarl Granbull as my safe swap. Vigoroth definitely is a safe lead against Jangles' team here. Worst case scenario would be up against like a Hypno there, or a Jirachi would not be super ideal, but Granbull is a safe swap. Snarl Granbull is just very, very powerful. It can put me in a shield advantage or potentially win back switch. And I'm going to bring in Ferrothorn here. I have not seen his Hypno come in yet, so I don't know what moveset he has on the Hypno. If it's Fire Punch, that is very worrisome for my Ferrothorn, but other than that, it's a pretty decent matchup. Alright, Galvantula in the lead. I'm going to get to these body slams before Galvantula can get to its charge moves, which is very good for me. I was going to try to overfarm there, but here's a big mistake. I tried to force the CMP, assuming that he was going to throw right on 3 when he gets the energy for lunge. But as you can see, he gets an entire free volt switch through. So this again is why I'm a big fan of practicing the fast move timing, which I did not do correctly here because I misread my opponent thinking that he was going to go for a CMP. Now he's an entire volt switch ahead of me, which is extremely bad. He's 1 volt switch away from another move. Whatever this move is, I know that I can tank it. So I'm going to let the lunge go through. I'm going to throw this body slam in the middle of the volt switch animation. But this Galvantula has a lot of loaded energy still. He no shields. I'm going to swap into Granbull right here and see what he wants to do. Even if I get debuffed here, which I most likely am, this is probably a lunge. It's actually a discharge, so a good shield on my part. Lunge would be resisted. Out comes Pelipper. I know Pelipper is going to be able to get to these weather balls fairly quickly. I alternate between 4 and 3 snarls to get to my crunch. Crunch does about half damage there. If this is a weather ball, I know that I will survive it, but I really want to keep this stored energy and potentially be able to take out this Pelipper here. Going to throw a crunch right here. Unfortunately, my opponent does get a wing attack through. And I get the shield, which is good for me. I want to be able to put this Pelipper into a range where I can farm it down, but it's too healthy to bullet seed down with my Ferrothorn, unfortunately. Okay, so to be perfectly honest here, I lost track of my opponent's energy. I know that it takes 10 wing attacks to get to a Hurricane. But because he got that one extra wing attack through on one of those weather balls, I was afraid that he already had one stored wing attack. So this next sequence here is pretty wild. I'm going to bring out Ferrothorn. I'm counting his wing attacks. I don't want to get hit by a Hurricane. Don't want to get hit by a Hurricane. And right there, we simultaneously swap. Jangles was trying to catch a Power Whip on his Galvantula, and I was trying to catch a Hurricane on my Vigoroth. So in the back of my mind, I'm still worried that Pelipper has a Hurricane stored. I'm still worried that Pelipper has a Hurricane stored. I'm barely able to get to this Body Slam before the Galvantula takes me out, which is really, really good. I'm wondering if he is going to bring out the Pelipper to farm me down, or if I'm going to see the third Pokemon. He actually brings out Hypno. And so if this is a Fire Punch Hypno, I lose. There's nothing I can do about it. So I'm going to throw right here. I have back-to-back Power Whip. If it's not a Fire Punch Hypno, the only way I can win this match is if I have a Power Whip stored to throw on the Pelipper. Because, and I just have to hope that he doesn't have a Hurricane stored. It's Ice Punch. It's not Fire Punch. So I'm farming up as much as I possibly can. He's receiving the energy for another Ice Punch. I have to throw right here, but I have back-to-back Power Whips. I'm not in Weather Ball range. Barely not in Weather Ball range, so I'm able to get to this Power Whip. He was one off from the Hurricane. He was one wing attack off from the Hurricane. So this Power Whip is going to do just enough to take out the Pelipper, and I'm able to win that game. Extremely close game in the first match and that second match. We're going to go into the final match here. I'm going to lead the Snarl Granbull now. I've been using it as a safe swap a lot, and so maybe putting it in the lead will catch him off guard. And I'm just going to run the same line of 3, but putting the Granbull in the lead and having Vigoroth kind of as my swap. Out comes Pelipper. This is probably one of the worst matchups that the Granbull can see, just because I need 2 charge moves to take this Pelipper out, and it is going to slightly outpace me. He's farming up a lot, though. I'm going to throw this Crunch right here, hoping that I might have forced CMP to guarantee that no extra wing attack comes through. He lets it go because he knows that he can survive. Very, very smart. I know that I can tank 1 Weather Ball, so I'm going to let this through, and I really just want to get a shield advantage or be able to land this Crunch. I actually store that energy. So the reason that I store that energy is because late game, if I can get all the shields down, I know that close combat could one-shot an Obstagoon, it could one-shot a Probopass. I know that the crunch damage is very valuable against a possible Hypno or Jirachi in the back, so I store that as a possible nuke for late game because I know that I will win CMP against most likely whatever is in the back. I shield up this Weather Ball, so I do get baited. That's unfortunate. Out comes the Galvantula. Let's hope my fast move timing is a little bit more optimal here. Looks like no extra Volt Switch went through, so I'm going to throw this Body Slam before I get Lunge debuffed. Going to throw in the middle of the Volt Switch animation there. That's great. Able to get another Body Slam off. I still have that move stored on the Granbull. I'm wondering what could be in the back. If it's Obstagoon, which there's a good chance that there is because he brought out Galvantula onto my Vigoroth. If it's Obstagoon, this is a little bit scary, but I have to get shields down to deal with this. I'm able to get to another Body Slam here. I'm wondering if I'm going to get the final shield. I do not. Does he come back in with the Pelipper to farm? He does. I still have that move stored on Granbull, but I'm still going to save it. I really want to be able to farm down this Pelipper. If I get Weather Ball baited here, this is very bad. But if it's a Hurricane, I have to shield it. And so I do correctly call the Hurricane, which is very favorable for me. In the back is the Obstagoon. The only way that I can take this thing out is if I'm able to get rid of the shield and then land the close combat. That's the only way that I can potentially win this game. He's running Cross Chop. I have back-to-back Power Whip stored. Counter comes through there, which is not ideal. Gonna throw this first Power Whip, and then I'm gonna throw the second one. He has to shield this, and then I'm gonna go for the combo play of Close Combat to be able to take out this Obstagoon, because I'm not going to be able to get to another Power Whip before I get countered down. There's the swap. There's the Close Combat. I know this is going to take it out, but unfortunately what this does is allows the Pelipper to farm me down even more. And my Ferrothorn does not have any stored energy. I'm not able to get a Snarl through, and these Bullet Seeds are just not doing quite enough damage. I'm going to get hit by a Weather Ball. Just barely. The Pelipper survives with like 1 HP. Very, very close game. But this was definitely a fun sequence of 3 battles. I hope that this video was able to give you some insight onto my thought process in this format. But a lot of these gameplay decisions translate very well into a blind format as well, like Go Battle League. So as always, if you appreciate the content, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Thank you all so much for watching, and I'll catch you all in the next video.